I, oh, great. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, and so we have Chaya and Candice are facilitating this call with me. And we would just love to start with a question for everyone, if you would be so kind as to participate. We're just wondering, what do you love about the idea? Well, if you grow food, what do you love about growing food? How does it bring you joy? And if you're not growing food, what do you love about the idea? And does anybody want to jump in? Just popcorn here?
I will.
Good.
Yeah. Can I say, I'll say something.
Yeah, good. I was waiting for you. You said I will, so go for it.
Okay, I was trying to raise my hand, the official hand raise thing. But anyway, I don't grow any of my own food, but I would like to, because it'd be healthier, obviously. Instead of farm to table, it'd be tower to table. Plus, with all the stuff about supply chain, I'd like to be able to have a certain amount of food, like, with all the logistic problems that we have.
So
I eat healthier, those three things.
okay, great. So you want to have a little bit more control of the quality of your food, and you also want just to have food security. I love that.
Yep.
So anyone else? Who else can chime in there?
I will. I find it so fun to walk out my back door to pick all of my fresh lettuce, just fresh. I have lots of salad stuff. I go out and I'm growing snow peas, and I just munch on them when I go outside to walk the dog or play with him. And the produce is so delicious. I'm not wasting produce by throwing it away. And it's simple, easy, affordable, and it's delicious.
I love that. There we go. I was just trying to mute some noise there. Okay, great. So love that. Yeah. So it's affordable and it's there. What joy. I feel the same way. Anyone else?
Well, I'll say something.
I'm
Pat, and I went to high school with Lori.
Hi,
Lori.
Pat. Nice to meet you.
So I have like lemons. I live in San Diego and have lemons and stuff like that, and that's great. But I thought it would be nice to just have some more variety of the fresh fruit, and then it stays on the plant, so it doesn't go bad as fast. You can keep it. You have it there longer, I think, is my guess. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I might turn my video off because I have a sprained lumbar, so I have to lie down.
Oh, please make yourself comfortable. That's fine. And thank you for letting us know why. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Anybody else want to?
Yafa wrote in the comments.
Okay, why don't you read it, because I'm on my phone and it's a little trickier.
So,
yeah.
It brings so much pleasure watching the miracle of life as everything grows.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it is. It is a beautiful miracle to watch things grow. So, yay, good. And what about you, Candice and Chaya? What do you love about growing food?
I think a lot of people said things that I already feel, but honestly, it makes me just like feel good that I can do this myself and actually like see it from seed to my plate. And knowing that like it's not, that it's actually fresh and there's not like a bunch of people handling it in between. And that it's actually high in nutrients and freshly picked and so much more. But we'll get more into it as we go on.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah, and for
And-
me, in addition to what everyone said, it's the connection to the live medicine of plants. You know, to me, growing plants is medicine in itself and nourishment. And when you get to that opportunity to develop a connection with the plants and see it grow and evolve in ways it's like seeing animals and seeing our children grow and evolve, you know, but it's plants. So when we bring plants into our lives, it's a whole nother level of medicine and nourishment that's beyond the physical nourishment of the plants that we're bringing in. And when we get to harvest the plants fresh and eat them, we get to bring in that spirit and that life force of the plant that we don't necessarily get when we go to the grocery store, because the spirit and essence slowly depletes after harvesting. And so the sooner we get to put it into our bodies, the more of that life essence we get. And that's the deep nourishment, in my opinion.
Mm,
I love what
how
you just said.
beautiful.
Is that, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
I feel the same
Yeah,
way, but
that's
I don't know how to put it in words the way you did.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I have a request, since we had some people who weren't able to be here, and we're recording this. So if you're not speaking, if you could mute yourself, if you have any background noise, we'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I think we're going to start off by showing a really short video that just highlights all the wonderful things about the Tower Garden, and then we're going to get into some Q&A. So Chaya, Candice, would you do the honors, please?
My tower gardens are amazing. The aeroponic gardening system I absolutely love. I have this one that's complete of tomatoes, beefsteak and cherry tomatoes and basil. Then the other one's just a mixture of like chard and broccoli and all my favorite different fruits and vegetables I have. And now my third one is gonna have different herbs, so like lavender and thyme and sage.
Here you are allowing people to grow their own foods that, the Tower Garden will pay for itself within a couple of years, but you get to keep it forever.
And I would spend probably about $50 a week on organic fruits and vegetables, and now I don't have to do that.
I also juice every day, so I get all my kale and all my chard from there and anything else I'm gonna put in there. So I love that thing.
Because it tastes good. It really does. And I have no green thumb. I can't grow anything, and I've been able to get things to grow. The best tomato I had last summer was from my Tower Garden.
This is my first time ever seeing celery grow from start, and we have huge stocks of celery. My wife's a big strawberry fan, so we've done strawberries.
All winter long, we've been able to grow fresh produce in our living room. It makes a nice centerpiece and talking piece. Move the coffee table out, move a tower garden in. And it's been really fun for my family and my kids.
It becomes such an amazing experience for them because they get to go and they get to pick it themselves.
I told them, you can just walk right up to it and eat from it, and they love that.
When we have salad party day, we harvest our tower garden, and the kids are having their salad party and coming back and asking for more salad, please. You're doing the right thing.
And the joy of feeding our family, where we literally grow outside the kitchen door, harvest from tower to salad bowl to table, it's just been a wonderful addition to our diet.
And he does most of it now. And I was the one that gardened in the soil for many years. He's now our tower garden farmer.
And clearly, if I can grow a tower garden, it's inevitable that anybody can grow a tower garden.
Tower Garden's state-of-the-art aeroponic vertical garden system uses both water and air to produce more colorful, better tasting, and incredibly nutritious fruits, vegetables, and herbs. Tower Garden has a 20-gallon reservoir at its base that stores the Tower Tonic nutrient solution. Developed by experts in plant and human nutrition, Tower Tonic Mineral Blend enables superior plant growth and better nutrition from your Tower Garden produce. The process begins once the seedlings have been placed in your tower garden. Here they will be nourished with Tower Tonic nutrient solution. Inside the reservoir is a small, low-wattage submersible pump. The pump pushes the nutrient solution up through the tower to the top. From there, the nutrient solution drips through the central tower using a special device that evenly cascades the solution over the exposed plant roots. On the journey down the tower, the nutrient solution feeds the roots and becomes highly oxygenated as it cascades gently down the reservoir. This process is continuous, providing fresh oxygen, water, and nutrients to the roots of the plants. This patented aeroponic process enables food crops to grow faster than they would in soil, so they can be harvested more often. And it makes Tower Garden the healthier, easier, smarter way to grow your produce.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'd love to highlight our indoor tower garden since it's in California, it's getting dark and Candice is in her warm home and not out in her garden. She'll be talking about her outdoor tower garden. And Chaya, do you want to say something so that you're highlighted and show your tower?
Yeah, sure. So in the video, you got to see how the outdoor tower looks. And here's how the indoor tower looks. Let me see if I can get in a little closer.
It's looking beautiful, man. Wow, you got some great, what do you have growing there?
I have lots of stuff. I've got, you see bok choy, there's cilantro, all kinds of greens, lettuces, green onions. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you can't point because you're holding your computer.
Here's green onions.
Okay, great.
It's really big. I have lettuces, all kinds of lettuces. They're really ready to harvest. I just wanted to keep it big for this.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and Candice, what about you? What do you grow in your outdoor tower gardens? Well, I know it changes depending on the time of year.
It does, and that is what I do love about the outdoor garden is that you do get to play with the seasons. And so in the early part of the year, I do a lot of cold hardy vegetables, which is usually lettuces and kales, your kind of winter greens, broccoli. I'll get my longer cauliflower or the longer cruciferous vegetables going, like things like cauliflower that just take, they have a longer time to really develop. I'll kind of get these going because they're cold hardy. And so if I get them started now, by the time late spring comes around, I can have some cabbage ready and things like that, some cauliflower and broccoli. And then I keep that perpetually going. So then as I'm harvesting, the idea is that I have some other stuff to go in and I keep a rotation going. So I'm continually having the vegetables that we eat frequently. And then by the time we get into summer, I'm usually planting things like tomatoes and squashes and strawberries and things like that in the tower that require a little bit more warmth and longer sun. And then by the time, and all the snow peas and all your long viney plants, because I do have the cage. And so I do like to work with a couple of the lattice vegetables that will grow and take up some nice space. And I just let it spread out. So that way, not only am I growing vertically, but I'm also growing horizontally and spreading and supporting the branches or just letting them grow on the ground, which is really nice to do if you don't have pests that come around. So it's really fun. There's a lot of variety. And I try to plant things that take longer to grow, that are a little heavier on the bottom. And then I rotate a lot of the top out. So the lettuces, the cilantro, the things that grow really quickly I keep rotating those out, and then I can maintain good consistency.
Nice.
And good variety.
Awesome. And Chaya, did you have anything else that you wanted to say about that? Or do you want to maybe talk about how you maintain your garden? I think people might want to know that. And also, I want to just say that we will take Q&A from everyone when we're done with our panel here.
Sorry.
Oh, you had your, what? I'm on my
sorry.
phone, so it's hard for me to always see that. So do you want to take your hand down and we'll
Yes.
If we don't answer your question, we want to hear it. Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
Okay, great. So Chaya, tell us a little bit about how you maintain your indoor garden.
Okay, first of all, do you hear the water?
Yes.
So right now the water is like flowing on the roof. So maintenance is really like very minimal. About every week, like every 7 to 10 days, you just check on the water levels, and if it needs more water, add more water and minerals as needed. And honestly, the biggest maintenance for me is the harvesting, which is like, it's hard to keep up with because I'm getting so much, which is a good problem to have. So it's really like compared to soil gardening, it's like a breeze. I mean, obviously it takes some work. I'm not gonna like make it sound like it's nothing, but it's just a way easier than soil gardening, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I would also imagine that if you're harvesting things like lettuce or greens, you don't have to pick the whole thing, right? You can just
Right.
pick.
There are certain things, like I have the heads of lettuce that I harvest the entire head. But most of my lettuces, like I can, will keep growing back. Most of my plants, between the herbs, I have celery, the bok choy, the green onion, like most of the things that I'm growing will just keep growing even after I harvest. So except for like bib lettuce or something where I harvest the entire, because I get like huge heads of lettuce, something like that, I'll just harvest the whole thing and then just plant a new one.
Got it. And do you have new ones usually waiting in the wings to be planted when you harvest?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many seeds and it grows so quickly. So I'll just, replace it with another head of lettuce or wanting something else.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. And what about your outdoor garden, Candice? You want to talk a little bit about what's required to maintain it?
Well, with the outdoor garden, it depends. So it's going to vary depending on the cycle of your plants and the time of year. So when it's not so hot, I don't find myself having to fill the water up so frequently. But during the peak time of summer, when we have these really long days, I do have to check the water reservoir more frequently, like every 2 to 3 days, and top it off with more water. So I would say that the maintenance does increase during certain times of the year as far as the water goes. And then really it's, the tower, you do have to clean, every about 3-4 months, I break down the tower and I'll clean it. I'll give it a little soak and spray it down and reassemble it. I think outdoors you have to clean it a little bit more frequently because we do have more dirt and pollen and things like that. So, at least I do. I end up cleaning it because I want my tower to look really nice and clean. So I do go through that effort of cleaning it. But the cleaning process is actually pretty easy. The reservoir itself is big enough to where you can actually put the pieces into the reservoir and soak it overnight. And then you can just give it a quick wipe down or spray it down with a pressure hose and then reassemble it. So even the cleaning of the tower is not too much maintenance. I just have to set aside an afternoon here and there to do it.
But how much time do you figure that you put into tower gardening?
As far as like setting it up, or just from a week to week basis once it's set up?
I would say week to week basis, because I know that you have a dirt garden as well. So how would you compare the time you put into your tower garden versus your dirt garden?
A lot more for the dirt garden. With the tower garden, I find the biggest maintenance really is cleaning it and assembling it. Once that is done and you have them planted, it's about keeping the rotation going, I think, is, as long as you kind of have your little calendar going, or in your mind, you're like paying attention. My plants are getting ready to harvest. I'm 1 or 2 weeks away from harvesting. I'm going to get my next batch of seeds going. And, that's really the only maintenance, is just, I think, taking care of the seeds, and getting that down. Because I know starting seeds is a little trickier for some people. And so, just kind of being in the rhythm and making sure the seeds are doing well. I find I give more attention to the seedlings than I do the plants. Like once they're in the tower, it's easy and it does itself. I just check the water, make sure the nutrients and the pH is good once a week. And, and then I check the water more frequently in summertime. But other than that, it's really the seedlings and, like playing with the plants. And I look at that as the maintenance and fun, as the connection with the plants. So just going out there and like pulling off the leaves that need to be pulled off and talking to the plants and, giving them a little tender loving care. So I spend a little bit more time with my plants probably than the average person because I like that connection. But outside of that, I think it's pretty easy.
Yeah, kind of plug and play, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Chaya?
With maintenance?
Yeah, well, how much time do you think, you put into it? And if you want to talk a little bit more about maintaining it, that'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think I touched on it already, but it's really like very little maintenance in my mind. I don't wash it as often as you do, Candice. I guess because it's indoors, it doesn't get as I probably do like I would probably do like every 6 to 8 months or something like that. Break it down in any way to start my seeds. But really, like, the biggest maintenance is the harvesting, keeping up with the harvesting. Because I mean, especially if you with the indoor tower, it's like mostly green. So those things just keep on growing and keep on growing. So you just have to be on top of that, and the baby greens as well. And I personally, for me, what helps make it easier is we set like a day of when we like check on the water. So it's like we just do weekly, every Sunday, we check on the water and add water as needed and minerals as needed and check the pH as needed. So that's once a week.
Okay. And if you want to go away for an extended period of time?
So I've done it. Ideally, if you have someone that's available to, check in on your tower every now and then it just, makes it that it doesn't completely get overgrown. But I would say up to 10 days, it's definitely doable. Like, your tower will still have water. The lights are on a timer. The water is on a timer. So in that sense, you're good with going away. It's just the harvesting. So, ultimately, if you don't harvest for a very long time, your plant will go to seed. It will bolt and go to seed, and then it won't taste very good anymore. So, so if you have like, a ton that's ready to harvest, then if you have someone that can do that for you, then great. Otherwise, I think you'll be fine for, a week to 10 days. I don't think they'll all go to seed. Especially, it also depends on the temperature in your house. So that's another thing. If I go away, like normally I would up my air, but when my tower is going like this, I wouldn't up it by too much, because the warmer the temperature is, the higher chance of it going to seed.
Right. And Candice, you with your outdoor garden, I would imagine in the summertime you probably can't get away that long. What do you think?
Summer I would be comfortable leaving for 3, 4, maybe 5 days at a time. This time of year I could leave for 7 or 8 days. The water levels wouldn't drop very much this time of year, but summertime they do. And also one thing I didn't mention is also what kind of plants you're growing. So if you're growing plants that have the long vines, you're growing things that require a lot of water, like squashes, tomatoes, they will suck up the water, especially as they start maturing and getting bigger. And so I will find myself having to check the water more frequently when I'm growing those kind of plants.
Yeah. And plus it's in the summertime when it's hot. So they get thirstier for sure. Yeah.
And if your power goes out, like if you're there, that's great because you can keep it watered and keep it maintained. But, like if you're during that time of year, like we are here on the coast where power can go out, frequently during fire season or wind season, I do get a little bit more hesitant about leaving my tower garden unattended if it's in a mature state, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to lose everything that I've put all my time and energy into.
Right. I know sometimes people have backup power for them, but hopefully that's not a big issue. Yeah. And so do either of you want to talk about what you feel are the benefit of growing indoors versus outdoors?
Well, I can talk about the benefits of indoors since that's
okay.
My experience.
Yeah, go for it.
So I would say one of the biggest benefits is the lack of bugs and pests indoors. So all your plants are much cleaner. You don't have an issue with the, like with outdoors as much with infestations or damage from, the pests or even weather. Like I can grow throughout the year, whether it's cold, whether it's storming, whatever the weather is outside. So that to me is a huge benefit. Another benefit I find personally is that I am much quicker to harvest, when it's like right near my kitchen. So as I'm cooking, I can just harvest. It makes me eat more salads. It makes my kids eat more vegetables. So I think having it like right there that you can see it, it gets you to eat it more. Thinking any other benefits. I also harvesting more often is like, I don't have to go outside. I don't have to, get dirty or anything like that. I don't have to weed. I don't have to do any of that.
It's convenient.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Can be
cool.
to sum it up.
Cool. And Candice, you want to chime in at all about outdoor gardening?
I won't
tower
talk too much
gardening?
long because I know we're getting short on time, but the benefit I think is just you do have a little bit more variety of plants that you can grow in the outdoor garden than indoors, because you can grow pollinating plants. Not that you can't indoors because you can cross pollinate yourself, but a lot of these pollinating plants, they really do want more sun. And so I have just heard that they do better outdoors. And so I'll just kind of stick to that because, I think everyone just kind of has their own preference. Oh, I think a lot of it has to do with space too, what you have. Some people have house space, some people have yard space. So really a lot of it has to do with what you've got. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, lastly, you both have kids. And how do you involve your kids in growing food? And maybe talk a little bit about, the curriculum that comes with it, if either of you use that curriculum.
Yeah. So I'll let Candice talk about the curriculum.
Yeah, I do use the curriculum and I love it. What I like about it is it's simple. There's not a lot to it, but you get the freedom to take it to whatever level and degree you want. So it's kind of more of like a foundation. And from there, you have the creativity to be able to teach the same lesson in different ways and different layers and with different plants. So you're reinforcing the concepts of growing and gardening and the science behind photosynthesis and all the things that kids, really need to be learning in botany. And they get to learn it through fun of growing their own food. And I think just when kids, at least in my experience, what I've seen a lot is when kids are growing the food themselves or they're seeing the plants growing, they're developing the connection to it. So they're more likely to eat it. And I've seen picky eaters like being willing to eat food when they're able to go and pick it and harvest it themselves. And there's just something that brings kids back into their own inner nature and their own connection to the earth and the soil and the plants when they get to have that experience. And the Tower Garden makes it fun. In a different way that kind of intrigues kids because there's a little technology to it. There's it's tall, it's bigger than them. So there's just something about it that really intrigues kids and kids get very curious about it because it's something that's different. And so I find my kid playing around with the plants in the Tower Garden more than other plants because there's just something intriguing and fun and it perks their curiosity. And when they get to be part of the process, they really enjoy it. And yeah, it makes it fun to learn how to grow plants when you can involve the kids.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I agree. I mean, I know that they are more likely to eat a salad from the Tower Garden than any other salad. They're just more excited about it and they're involved with the growing. And so they really see the progress. And, I'm happy for them to even pick off lettuce from the Tower Garden if that's what gets them to eat it. So.
Yeah, great grazing right there. Okay, good. And Chaya, do you want to talk a little bit about grants for schools? Because I know that there are people who their kids are in schools and they'd like to see a Tower Garden in the classroom.
Yeah, I mean, I can just mention a little bit about it and I'm happy to share a link for anyone who's like really interested. But any nonprofit or school, public or private, can get a grant towards gardening. So they can actually get Tower Gardens through that grant. And it's going on right now. The application process, I think it's until March 1st. So there's like a small window to apply.
Oh, okay. Okay, so maybe people will get in touch with one of us, just get in touch with the person who invited you and we can get that information to you. And so, Jeff, did we answer your question? Are there any other questions out there that somebody would like to ask? Just pop in. You don't have to raise your hand.
Yeah, no, you answered some of them, but I was wondering about climate-wise. I think I've talked to Candice about this before, where the winters in Atlanta are similar to where it is in Mendocino County. Might be a little warmer there, but so for a couple months, 2 to 3 months, if I get the outdoor one, you could shut it down, so to speak. And follow up to that with Candice is, it sounds like there's a little bit of an art or science to the layering of the different levels and where to put what. Is that something that they come with a little bit of instructions with, or is it just?
You know what? There is so much resources on the Tower Garden website and in their blog. And so they do actually have articles. So you can actually click on, they have informative articles for all the main plants that they encourage growing in the Tower Garden that are successful growing. And so you can get the tips. And then they will actually, I believe I saw a blog once where they kind of gave you an instructional layout of like put strawberries on top, and then you put these plants in the middle, and then you put these plants on the bottom. But for me, a lot of it was just trial and error. What's great about it is you can move the plants around a little bit. Like when they get really well established and they have long roots, it's hard to move them. But it can give you the opportunity to clean the roots up a little bit so they don't suck up as much water, because it is, when you do let the plants grow longer, you can trim the roots and then they don't absorb so much water. And it's a good way. It's like bonsai tower gardening. And so I will do that. But once the roots get really well established, I don't rotate them anymore and I leave them put until I'm done with them. But I will rearrange. So as things get heavier, I will move them down in the bottom. I also have the add-ons. So when you buy the tower, it comes with a 5 stacked. You have an option of getting a couple extras and getting a stronger pump to be able to handle going taller. And so I went taller with both my towers. And so if I put things heavy on the top, they do get top heavy. And I learned that just through trial and error.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about, oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask her, mention the other part of your question about growing in the cold time of the year.
Yes. Oh yeah. Thank you. And so I do take a break, usually 6 to 8 weeks off, just in the coldest time of the year here. And I feel like I probably wouldn't need to. I just do. Gives me a little bit of a break. And I don't like going out in the cold. So, and since I have an outdoor tower, I have to go out in the cold to harvest and maintain it. So I do break it down for maybe 2 months at the most out of the year, but otherwise it's always going.
And I don't mind going out in the cold, but I'm worried about, like, is it the freeze date, or, is it like the first frost?
Yeah, because if it freezes, you don't want you can get a heater. So we got a heater for our reservoir. And so I do keep in the cooler times of the year, I can put that heater in there and keep the reservoir warmer. But if it's too cold, there's really no point in trying.
Sure. I could keep mine in the garage if it got close to, too cold. But something that Chaya mentioned was here in Georgia with the insects and the bugs, and you don't want to spray it, obviously. How do you combat the infestations that you referred to?
You can use a net. So I've seen people put like nets kind of around it to keep it away from these kind of bugs. Like when I don't have to really I have to deal with slugs and snails. So I don't really have to deal with the insects as much. We get aphids, but I just spray these down with some soapy water. For me, it's the slugs and snails. And so I just put a copper band around the reservoir, and that helps out a lot. But otherwise you can do a net. If you deal with some gnarly insects like you do in Florida, you can always put a net around it during certain times of the year.
Okay.
You can do a greenhouse too if you want.
And a greenhouse, yeah. My husband did build a greenhouse for my towers, so last year we got to move him into a greenhouse.
Oh, that's a good place to put him in the winter time. Well, thank you. That was a good question. Are there any other questions out there? I know that we're running a little over, and we were going to close with a 5 to 7 minute meditation on growing food. So if anybody wants to hang out for that, you're more than welcome to. And if you need to go, we understand. But before we say goodbye, I just wanted to check in. Are there any other questions? Okay, I guess not. All righty. Well, Candice, would you like to lead us in a meditation?
I would love to. Thank you.
Thank
so everyone,
you.
let's just take a moment to center into our breath. I want to get us grounded real quickly and take a nice deep breath in, hand on your heart, hand on your belly. And just notice the bigness of the body as you breathe in. Allow the body to expand. And with each breath out, you're just going to notice how the body becomes soft and relaxed and how you become empty. Next breath in, you're going to imagine the crown of your head lifting up towards sky, tall as a tree. Your chin angled slightly towards the heart, nice straight back. Breathing out, maintain that height while the body becomes soft. And notice your feet planted nice and firmly on the floor. And just take a moment to ask yourself, what's my main intention for growing food? What do I want to nourish and grow this year in my life? Maybe it's growing high quality organic food. Maybe your intention is having food security or the connection to plants, the connection to colors and the rainbow. Whatever it is, imagine that intention being a little seed. And you're going to plant this little seed in a beautiful place that's special for you. It could be a place in nature. It can be in your heart. What comes to you? And think about your intentions. Feel your intentions and pour it into the seed. And plant the seed in the soil in your special place. And your hands are covering the seed and bearing it. And just notice anyone else who wants to set this intention with you, maybe an angel or a spirit guide, one of your children, another version of you. What other little hands are there covering the seed? With each slow, deep breath in, you're connecting to the soil that contains the seed. Breathing out, you're sinking down into the soil. You are a seed planted next to the seed. And on your next breath in, you notice the darkness of the soil, the coolness of the earth. Breathing out and noticing the stillness. And on your next slow, deep breath in, you're going to notice a little light above you. And you're slowly getting closer and closer to this little light. It's getting brighter and brighter and wider and wider. And this light has a little warmth to it as it comes down into this dark soil. And you notice the moisture and the water around you. And on your next breath in, your seed and your intentions expand, absorbing in this nourishing water. And your seed cracks just slightly, just enough to begin to sprout. And just notice the sprout. Notice your intention seed. And it is sprouting. And on your next breath in, you're going to notice the warmth of the sun pouring down. Breathing out, noticing your roots beginning to grow from the seed down into the coolness of the earth. Your roots spreading out, weaving around the soil, the rocks, absorbing up the moisture of the earth. And you keep expanding out until your roots begin to connect with the roots of your intention seed. Your roots are intermingling, supporting each other. And on your next breath in, both you and your intention, you sprout above the soil. 2 little leaflets. And like a time lapse with each breath, you and your intentions, you're growing. Just noticing more leaves growing, noticing your plants becoming just a little taller with each breath, a little wider. Connecting to that intention of what you want to grow in your life, what you want to grow for your health, how you want to connect to the plants. Now allow this to continue to grow. And begin to notice, what plants are you growing? Notice how this plant is absorbing the sunlight. And just take a moment to ask your plant, what do you need? What is the nourishment you need right now to bloom? And just trust what comes. Just notice what nourishment you need in your life that you can get from food. Noticing the nourishment that your intention plant needs. And bring that in. Imagine that nourishment coming in through more water, through more sunlight, through the gentle breeze of your breath as you breathe out. And notice both you and your intention plant getting a little brighter, becoming more vibrant, expanding out and taking up just a little bit more space. And on your next breath in, you begin to bloom. And just notice the colors, notice the textures, notice the beauty. And notice how you and your intention plants, how you've supported each other, how you have grown together, and how with each intentions, we can bring in the plants and connect to the plants and grow with the plants and be with the plants. And how that is deep nourishment that feeds not only our body, but our soul. And just acknowledge this beautiful gift from the plants, from Mother Earth. Maybe leave a little offering, a little rock, a little piece of your hair, a little gift to this plant, just as gratitude for this connection. And take a couple more deep breaths, just drawing your roots back into your feet. Take a moment to wiggle your toes and your fingers. And maybe just sway back and forth, noticing your weight shifting over your sits bones like a tree or a plant that gently sways in the wind. But reorienting yourself into your own physical body right here, right now on our call tonight. When you're ready, open your eyes and begin to rub your hands. And look at some colors or textures around you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everyone who stayed on a little later to do that with me. That was really lovely to do that with you guys.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being on the call. If you have any questions about the Tower Garden or you want to get one, I should probably also mention that there is going to be a slight rise in price. on March 1st. So if you are thinking about a tower garden, you might want to, I mean, it's still a good deal. You still earn the money back by growing your food. And yeah, so it's available at a lower price, the current price till March 1st. I think it's going to go up $50 or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all. Appreciate you all coming on. Have a
Thank you.